About some metalworking, specifically with some sheet metal. Previously, we kind of talked about joining processes and joints that needs a lot of surface area and adhesion to go together. We've also talked about some machining stuff, material removal processes, as well as some structure stuff, with supports and how things work together. Today, this project kind of works a little bit on all those processes, so let's kind of go through it here. So the one thing I want to talk about first off. When you're working with metal, similar to wood, metal has a grain structure and a crystal structure in it, right? And as you work with the different processes, the grains and crystals kind of align in different ways. So I'm just going to show you a few things first. If you're making this part, let's just say it kind of looks like this, right? You have to make it a few times. And you have to choose a process to make it that will best suit what you're going to use it for. For this project, it doesn't necessarily work. We're not going to say what it needs to do, but we're just going to throw some things at you. So if you're going to make this thing with casting, how would you think the grain structure of metal and the crystal structure in the metal would end up after pouring it in a cast with molten metal? Any ideas? Anybody? No. All right. So for casting. As you kind of go, you pour the metal in, and as it hardens and cools, your crystal structure kind of just goes random, right? It's kind of all over the place, and just kind of willy-nilly. There's no really rhyme or reason to it, right? And that works. Think about things like engine blocks, tools, so stuff like that. They're all just cast in a solid thing, and they're strong. They work. It's all good. If you're going to do some forming or what did I say here? Forging of stuff, right? Now, when we're doing forging, we're working with metal that's been poured and been rolled out into a shape already, right? So your crystals are kind of aligned. Everything's been rolled together. Everything's smooth. What happens when you forge something or form something with just sort of cold process, bending, stamping, anything like that? Anybody have an idea? It compresses it, right? So if you have this one block and you're working with it and all your grains are going this direction, right, as you come around in an area like this, things are going to get tight and work out wider. Same here. And work out wider. Same in here. As you work out and here, right? So as you see, when they're tighter together, and you expand on the corners, you can see where there's kind of weak points maybe there, where things might not be as put together as strong. You think about like doing a plastic bottle, how they make those, same thing. They make a die, blow air, stretch the bottle out. If you ever grab like some of those cheaper plastic bottles, water bottles and stuff, you can tell the places are really softened where the plastic's really thin. Same kind of idea, right? Finally then for machining, same thing, you get a chunk of metal, it's been rolled out, everything's in line. What happens to the grain structure in that? Anybody? No? Alright. So if your grains all going this way, and you cut this thing out, right? You're cutting straight across the grain. And if you use that process and you're building something, what potentially might happen there if you cut across the grain like that and you don't have, and nothing's working together kind of. Right, if you put a load in here, like say this was on something like this, let's say a screw or something that's got a lot of teeth in it, and you put a lot of load on this, those teeth are going to shear off across that grain structure, right? Does that make sense to everybody? So similarly, when we're working with sheet metal, it has a lot to do with a similar process with forging, where if we have a piece of sheet metal, and all our grains are going the same way, and we want to make a right angle on that thing, bend it here, and all our grains are tightening up here and expanding there, right? And that's how our grain structure ends up looking. So in this process of bending these things, stretching the crystals, combining together, it's a thing called work hardening, right? So if you think about if you ever have been sitting around playing with a paper clip, you unbend it, try to bend it back, it doesn't look the same, does it? It's hard to get them straight, hard to get them back in the same shape. That work hardening process heats it up and cools it down. It makes it very brittle, right? So that's the kind of thing we want to understand. But it also, when you put bends in things like sheet metal, some of the things we put in these ones that we're working with today, we put some flanges on the ends of these. We put some hems across the middle and just some bends in the middle of them here. That makes that pretty strong, right? If you just had a flat piece of metal here, you could bend it back and forth. It wouldn't move a lot. But as you put those in there, that strengthens those things up. So what you guys want to think about today when you're doing this is kind of how, when you're working with sheet metal and you're bending it around and it's being work hardened, how the sheet metal, the grain structure and crystal structure of the sheet metal is warped and formed as you guys are bending it. So with that, we're going to get into some demonstration here about our project.
Just going to add too, if you look at, these are kind of hard to see from back there, you'll see them doing your project. These are a stamped part. If you look at the ends kind of, you can see a little bit of how the grain structure is stretched, because this was just a square piece, which was stamped out. So you can see the grain structure a lot in this. You can see which way it moved the metal, which is kind of a clear demonstration. Actually, if you look at the metal, you can kind of see the grain structure there. Just something like that. Yeah, so we'll do some demo here.
You guys want to come up around the apparatuses here and kind of get a good look at what's going on?
Yeah, as close as you can get in on this here. We'll help you out through the process too, so that in case you can't quite see the demonstration here. But in a couple minutes here, we're going to be splitting you guys into a couple groups. So there's a couple different stations here. We'll rotate you through them, so you'll be doing all of these steps, so pay attention to all of them. This is one of the first steps, so each one of you guys are going to get a base. Some of it's been pre-made for you already.
So you can see them presenting.
So what you're going to do with your base, the anvil is so that they're sitting on the edge of the metal here, one on each end. You got the press here. You want that to line up with these spacer blocks here. This is kind of a tricky thing. The press is a little wider than it's supposed to be. So you got those lined up. And this is actually a good thing to do if you have two guys. No, let's move it on this here actually. I'm going to look that for a second. Let's try there. So yeah, this is a good thing to do with two guys. One guy can be lining this up, and the other guy is operating this. So once you have where you want it, move those blocks, push down here. Alright. It's not perfect, you can bend it a little bit, but it should be pretty close. So the same thing for the other side. Will be same thing, line those up, put these on there. For purpose of time, I won't show you that right now, but sometimes these are not going to be, this one is okay, but if they crimp on each other and they're raised up a little bit, you can take this over to this metal surface here and just kind of take this hammer and pound them out flat so that you get a nice clean corner. Yeah. So then do that on that side. That's for the bottom. That's kind of your first one of your steps with that. I suppose actually we should do the other side so we can show the end. So it's the same thing on this side. These two steps will be right in a row. You take these end pieces here, which are pre-made. You slide those in onto here. Just so you can see kind of what it is on here. These clamp in there. So, I think we're going to grab that end fixture. Place that in there. Yep. Let's do another one. What is that thing called? What's that? What is that? spot welder. Alright, so you'll do that, was it about 4 or 5 times down each side, and then about 4 or 5 down the bottom, just enough that your end holds in good. And that'll be done on both ends of your box. That didn't hold apparently. I'm in a hurry. But that's that part of the step. Where's my sheet? The other thing that you'll be doing is you got these handles which are going on your lids. We'll show you how to lay those all out. But each one has a pocket on each side, which you'll be welding on. Same thing on the spot welder. But before you weld those on, you can see this will be a station over here. There's a pocket template, and you'll take that template and hold it onto these squares, and then trace it out, and then you'll be cutting those with shears, just so that you get that shape down, and then you'll be spot welding those on also. And here's group 2, here's what you're going to be doing. So like Trent just said, group 1, we'll be starting out by doing the bottom bending here, then we'll go straight from that into welding the ends on. If you're in group 2, like he said, you'll be cutting the pockets and laying those out and getting your handles where they need to be. And then we'll go right down the list. So,
are we going to be pausing again?
All there is to putting the hinges on is you just slide these in together and then slide the stick through them. So that'll be kind of your last step. And these should anyway, it'll go, I promise. But yeah, so there's that, and then
Pre-cut piece of sheet metal.
no, these are just square pieces. But like they're all a jig, so like there's really not much we
There's a
can.
jig that you do.
Yeah.
Do you want us to do this right?
Yeah. Yep. So probably if you put it this way, and then you can kind of like you hold it there. It should work this way. Just kind of get in that corner. If you need to get the worst of it from the top, you can do it that way too.
We don't have to do one.
I was gonna do this one because the last one wasn't very good.
I like that. Actually, it's not too bad. That's like all you can do. It's just the way that the press bar is made.
Which one was broken that you had to fix?
That was just the notcher we were using to cut these.
What?
It's nothing that you guys actually have to use.
We came back right before.
It was all in the prep work.
I told.
We bought a bike.
What?
We bought a bike.
A bike?
It's a whole 4 wide bike.
Guys? Not even have to bring it over here so we can go
What you
right.
can do is hold it here a little bit until it gets the pressure.
Yeah. Hey, shut up. Try and talk over here.
Let him finish it, you know what I mean?
No, why not? Let's go for a ride.
Because I can't get it away from Jeff.
So you can kind of lose the pressure there, and then when all these on it, then you can let go.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah. You'll just have to hammer those corners. This is how they.
These things are like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold it up to the 7th grader.
Yeah, that'd be tough business.
You're building some nice, strong forearm muscles.
Is this really severe? The template, this use is all in the idea of what a template's for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what they're called.
Just tack this one for a second.
That might constitute for a trip to the principal's office. Just weave this down underneath here, right? Get it in the corner. And what you want to have is this washer make contact with your end and one of your sides. You're going to walk this down, get it to where you want it to be, kind of reposition yourself, and give it a nice pull, and that'll make a little foot divot in there.
All right.
And so you can see, similar to what we were talking about with that crystal structure, the top's going to be kind of normal, the sides are really going to be stretched out, and the bottom's going to be normal again, right? So, another pinpoint thing that you can...
How's it going?
Yeah.
How many were on here? What? Probably put 30 on there.
Rapid fire.
Perfect.
Burning holes.
How much?
Oh yeah, I should tell you guys.